Hey guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to another episode of Morning Tea, where we sit in our sleepwear and discuss current events. Today's tea is laundry. So I have a lot of laundry to do. I have been working 60-hour work weeks, 6 days a week, 10 hours a day. Saturdays are my only days off, and so I want to thank you guys so much for your patience with these videos. I know they haven't been coming out regularly as I have been focusing on content that I need to put up weekly due to shows and reviews and recaps that I do with 90 Day Fiancé and Love After Lockup. So I want to thank the dedicated fans of Morning Tea for sticking with me and being patient. And so I've got some tea for you. I want to give a special shout out to Brianna and Gwen. They have been sending me articles, keeping me abreast with what's going on in the world. There is a lot happening. I'm not going to talk about all of it. Not that I'm trying to stay away from politics. It's just, it's the same old, and so it can get so taxing on the spirit. I was actually watching another person who does like a daily show about news events, and she was talking about how taxing it can be, and sometimes she just can't do them daily. Oh, it's so much laundry. Okay, I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's a war in Yemen. It is labeled a civil war, but when you dig a little deep, you realize, and actually not that deep at all, just like scratch the surface, you start to realize that it doesn't feel like a civil war. So there are two camps. There is this group called the Houthis, and I'm not sure if I'm saying that correct, it's H-O-U-T-H-I-S, and they, at some point in 2011, I believe, took power from whoever was in charge to begin with. P.S. I sort of think of Yemen as being like baby Saudi Arabia. Like, I don't know why or what I read, but it was clear to me that whoever was in power in Yemen was backed by Saudi Arabia. So this group of people, I guess, who must not have liked that, the Houthis, they swooped in and took control over one of the major cities in Yemen. And then they took control over 2 more major cities in Yemen. And at the time, the Saudis had decided that the only way that the Houthis, if I'm even saying that right, was able to do that was because there was a sneaky backer who was providing them with money and arms in which to take over the Yemen government. They hypothesized that that group was Iran. Because Iran and Saudi Arabia are rivals and they are constantly fighting for control of who's the most powerful in the Middle East, they were like, okay, so you're gonna back these rebels, we're gonna send in our troops and all of our backing. The US, helping out Saudi Arabia, helping to restore Yemen, joined in the fight. I don't know if they had boots on the ground, but they definitely gave intelligence and war stuff and monies, right? Then you have Jamal Khashoggi. Remember I talked about him? He was the journalist who went into the Saudi Arabian consulate in Turkey 6 weeks ago and never came back, and it turns out that he is dead and there has not been any answer for it. So the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, everyone's saying that he's the one who did it, right? And he's saying, no, we didn't do it, we don't know what happened. But everyone, Turkish government, intelligence from all of the major parties like US, London, France, who else? There was one other group that was like, yeah, all evidence points to him. And our president is saying that there is no evidence, even though the CIA is like, low-key, there is evidence. Like, the president is saying that the CIA doesn't know for sure. And I highly doubt that. I feel like our CIA and like whatever version of CIA is in is in London, I feel like they fucking know everything. They have hands, they have spies, they know everything that's going on. Now, whether or not they choose to act on it, because if they feel it's in the US's best interest, like, that's a whole different issue. But whether or not they know, whether or not they have the intelligence, I think they do. And our president is like, well, they don't know that for sure, and it would be catastrophic if we pulled out of our deals with Saudi Arabia, because there would be loss of 1 million American jobs. Because apparently what the US supplies to the Saudi Arabia is guns and vice versa. Like, we trade war stuff. And so there's a lot of money going back and forth between the two countries, between war stuff and oil stuff. So it's a big issue, right? So for the United States to really come out and say that they're going to do no more dealings with Saudi Arabia would be a financial hit. But would it be the right thing to do? Probably. I'm just gonna be real like loose with my numbers and say the last 200 years, having a country like the US where you have freedom of press and you have freedom of speech, and everyday citizens aren't going to go to the gallows or be killed for speaking out against the president and such like that, and things like that, that's a relatively new concept for a country to take on and actively participate in, right? Because in theory, you can say, oh, you know, we have freedom of press, we have freedom of speech, but in practice is a slightly different thing. Now, is the US the absolute best at it? No, but I don't think any country is the absolute best at whatever kind of political structure that they have, right? We do have checks and balances to a certain extent, and there are some atrocities that the US has had to do, and we're not perfect. I'm not saying that at all. One of my big call outs with the US is that there should be a public system for healthcare, period. To me, that's the thing that holds the US back from being this forward-thinking country that it desperately wants to be. Like, Canada is fine. You know, the UK is fine. Finland and whatever other countries have universal healthcare, they're fine. They're thriving. Their billionaires are still billionaires. Their rich are still rich, you know? Like, why can't the US adopt that? But again, I'm not a politician. I really don't know about all that stuff and why it's not working for the US, besides the fact that I just think it's a lot of greedy people who don't want to give up their money and their power. A lot of pharmaceuticals who don't want to give up their money and their power. So anytime you do have like something that could be good for the people, there are always those who make the money off of it and don't want the people to have healthcare, don't want the people to have the help that they might need. Anyways, so let's get back to the topic. All right. So the US has been helping Saudi Arabia bomb the shit out of Yemen, right? And the Yemeni people are suffering. They have had one of the largest outbreaks of cholera in the last 50 years just because they are going through a famine right now and there's not a lot of help for them. And the regular people are dying every single day, right? And that's the part of it that sucks the most. So you know Jamal Khashoggi, he died in Turkey. Crown Prince is saying he didn't do it. Everyone is saying he did do it. The reason why they had to silence Jamal is because Jamal was a Saudi Arabian citizen. He's a journalist, so he was working with, I think, the Washington Post here in the US, but it was dangerous for him in Saudi Arabia because he had been speaking out against the Crown Prince, and then the Crown Prince took him out. And now there's a lot of backlash, especially for countries that still support the Crown Prince. And our country, our president specifically, doesn't want to acknowledge or say anything negative because he feels like it would be catastrophic if we did. We would lose our alliance or our monies or whatever we're getting from Saudi Arabia that would be put into jeopardy. And it just feels like a businessman's greedy choice, right? And I'm not saying he's the businessman. I'm just saying, like, in general, it sounds like the choice of someone who has a lot of money to lose or potential money to lose, not even actual money out their own coffers, just that sort of flow of wealth will stop coming to those people. And maybe he has pressure from whoever he knows in the weapons industry who is like, no, we have a good relationship with Saudi Arabia, don't say anything negative about them. We need to keep making money off of them. But the Senate doesn't agree. So recently the Senate voted to pull out military help from Saudi Arabia in Yemen, which to me seems like a good thing to do. What's happening to the Yemeni people is terrible, and if the US has hands in it or had hands in it, like, it's gonna go down in history as being like a really horrible move, right? And so I think that now that we know for sure that the shenanery is happening, we should definitely pull out. Definitely. So recently they had the G20 summit, and the G20 summit is a summit that happens in different places in the world once a year where the top 20 countries come together and have conversations about things. But anyways, so this year it was in Buenos Aires, right? And it looks like a lot of the leaders were being kind of shady towards the Crown Prince. They weren't really speaking to him. They weren't publicly speaking to him. You know, privately they had conversations with him, and the UK, France, Canada all said that the conversations that they had in private with the Crown Prince were conversations of like, yo, you need to do something about the optics of your situation. Did you kill him? There needs to be some kind of reconciliation. You need to come forward and say something. They're all saying that they told him that there needs to be an investigation, a proper one, and that, you know, those are the kind of conversations that they had behind closed doors. Now, we don't actually know if that happened. I don't know what world leaders will do to keep power. I don't know what world leaders will do to keep their constituencies, their donors, their supporters happy? You never really know. I don't know at all, right? Because I'm not a politician. I don't know what that pressure is like. So publicly though, they're like, no, something needs to happen. Now, the only person who would publicly support the Crown Prince is Putin. He high-fived him, and it got caught on camera, and it's gone viral. So now everyone's like, oh, so we always thought you were a shitbag, but now we fucking know. I feel like there's a lot about politics that I don't understand, and it's very easy to sit back and to criticize when I don't even have the chops to do something like that. It's very easy to sit back and say, well, you should do this, and I hate when people do that because you're not in that place. It sounds like an easy thing to say. You shouldn't do this, or you should do that, or this is how you should behave. And, you know, yes, we all know how we should behave, but so many things, so many factors, so many wheels are turning in this cog of life that keeps our country going or keeps our world going that we have absolutely no idea who's actually in power. We have absolutely no idea how monies and things are being shuffled around. Yes, is some of it like just bad guys being bad and being able to get away with it? Absolutely. So that's a little bit about that. I will have links down below. Again, Gwen, I want to thank you so much for providing that information. Let's move on to the next topic. Here's the tea. Okay, so in Biscayne Park, Florida, there is some drama because this police chief framed 3 different men for crimes that they did not commit because he said he felt the pressure to find the person who committed these acts. Now, I'm not quite sure what the acts were. I don't know if it was death or robbery or whatever happened, but this police chief, who is a person of color, I'm not sure exactly what his race is, this police chief just said, look, I can't deal with the pressure and everybody expects me to solve these crimes, so I am going to solve them. And I'm going to frame somebody for it. I'm just going to say that this person did it, even though I know they didn't. Okay, so in September, the police officer pleaded guilty to conspiracy charge of depriving 3 suspects of their civil rights because he and the officers charged them without a legal basis. So this officer, this police chief, has gotten 3 years in prison for these crimes. Now, I want to know how long the men he framed got in prison. And I want him to serve double of whatever those men went through based on him illegally arresting them and charging them with the crime. Like, that's what I want to know. It really bothers me, like I say, like, it really bothers me because I live in this bubble of like where people can't do that. You can't do that. I'm an American citizen. I have rights. And then there are people, American citizens, whose rights are being taken advantage of and who are being squashed. And every single day, there are Americans who don't go through proper due process. Every single day, there are people who get charged with crimes that they didn't commit and sentenced and put in prison. Every day. Because our legal system is flawed. But how do you make it better? I don't have an answer to that. I'm not one of those people. And I just feel terrible. So I just wanted to let you guys know that that is a thing that happened. I mean, it's just awful. It's awful. And I think that the parties involved, regardless of if they meant to or not, or whether or not they feel bad. Yeah, you could feel bad about it, but you did this to somebody and you ruined their life. You had a position of power and you took advantage of your position of power because you felt pressure. Instead of just quitting. If you felt that much pressure to frame, that you were going to frame people in order to do it, then just quit. Just quit. Like, I know you might have family, but your family would rather you quit than send innocent people to jail. Let's move on. Here's the tea. Okay, so in some lighter news, Cardi B finally showed us a picture of her baby Culture, and I actually thought it was really cute. I feel like she showed us a picture that didn't even have her Culture looking directly at the camera. It was at a weird angle, but she still gave us a little something. And the reason why she gave us that little something, that little cutie tootie, was because her and Offset are broken up. And I think she was just like, look, I'm going to tell all these people that me and Offset are breaking up, and also I'm going to show them a picture of Culture so that they shut up. And it worked. I was a little bit like, well, I'm happy for Cardi B. I'm happy she's out of that toxic relationship. I mean, we all knew. I feel like men who constantly are cheating in relationships don't respect themselves. Like, I feel like the reason why they cheat in whatever relationship that they're in, actually the reason why anyone cheats in any relationship that they're in, is because they don't love themselves enough. Especially if they know they're hurting someone's feelings. Like, Offset know he's hurting Cardi's feelings. He just doesn't care. Because his feelings are more important. Period. His self-preservation is more important. And that's just, it is what it is. And so, it's so funny, he just put something on the Shade Room on Instagram talking about, man, Cardi, I love you, I love my wife. The thing I want for my birthday is, my one wish is for us to get back together. You know, I know that I did you wrong, and I know that I, you know, I didn't F that girl, but I entertained it, and I can see how that's disrespectful to you. I want to be with you this Christmas. I want to be with you in culture. I want to be with our family for Christmas. And I'm just like, you sound so like every fuckboy out there. Just like so basic. You know what I'm saying? Just so basic. I know what I did was wrong. Give me one more chance. Like, nah, nobody had time for you. Go get some therapy. Learn to love yourself so that way you can learn to love me and this and us, our family. I really hope Cardi doesn't get with him. And I'm not going to necessarily judge her if she does, because I think the overwhelming desire to, like, be with your baby's father and be in love with somebody that you truly love and respect and can make good money with, like, is strong. And she even said that when she was telling everybody that she was broken up with him, was that, you know, they make good money together, you know, business-wise, they make good decisions, but, like, you know, she's been trying for a long time and she just can't do it anymore. And I'm just like, it's such a disservice that we teach women that we need to, like, bend over backwards for these men, and we don't necessarily teach men that. We teach them if a woman cheats on him, then, like, you know, she's the worst slut slag out there, but he can do it and it's fine. Here's the tea. All right, so this is something that happened a couple weeks ago. I'm truly disgusted by it, but at the end of the day, like, people can do whatever they want to do. And it just hurts me that a lot of this behavior comes from a place of self-hate, specifically based on your skin tone. Blac Chyna is the spokesperson for this company called Whitelicious, which is a skin bleaching company, and they were in Nigeria promoting it, and Blac Chyna got into an argument with someone there and, like, almost fought or something like that. And so it brought it to, like, national news, or not black national news at the very least, that she was over in Nigeria fighting because she was supporting this company that does skin bleaching. And it's crazy because, like, usually people who are celebrities and have, like, a platform wouldn't support something as controversial as skin bleaching. And honestly, had she not gotten into an argument or a fight over there, I don't know that we all would have known that she was a spokesperson in Nigeria for skin bleaching. I want to know how much she got paid to do that. I just think it's such a disservice. Like, I don't know, unless she skin bleaches herself, then I can see why she would do that. But otherwise, it seems like you're just doing this for the paycheck, because you skin bleach? Really? I didn't know she felt like that. I don't know. I just think that, like, skin bleaching doesn't even work, but people think that they look beautiful. And that, okay. I mean, whatever makes you happy. You can live your own life. You're an adult. I'm never going to promote it as something I think that should happen or, like, is okay. I think it's horrible. And I think that, I think it's fucking horrible. But, like, whatever's happening to Blac Chyna from here on out, she's on her own. I mean, not to say that I ever supported her, but, like, you know, I like to try to support black women, especially if I feel like they're trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And, like, Blac Chyna only has so many, you know, skill sets. Didn't she, like, have, like, an eyelash company or something? And then she had, like, a wig company or whatever. So, like, you know, I don't know. Like, okay, girl, make your money, but making your money off of doing something that you don't even do to promote, like, a bad behavior, it seems kind of sketchy. Now, if she does do it, okay. She doesn't skin bleach? No. All right, so the next topic, here's the tea. Bush Jr. and Michelle Obama have such an interesting little relationship. And, like, I respect the fact that these people come together and they have done a very specific job and been in a very specific position in this world. And I actually kind of like the fact that the President's Club is a close-knit group of people who like each other and support each other, even though they are on different sides of the aisle. And Bush, at every, like, public event, they sit next to each other, Bush and Michelle. And I'm not sure why, but it's just the way the seating goes. Like, she sits next to him at all times. And so they have like a rapport. And at every kind of public event, he hands her a piece of candy. And no exception was made at his father's funeral. And I just thought, at such a heavy time in his life, when his father passes away, for him to still find a moment to like sneak and give Michelle some candy and have this inside joke is kind of endearing. And like, after he left the White House, like when he was in the White House, I hated Bush. I was like, this idiot. But like, after he left the White House, like, I just was like, you know what? That job is really hard. And like, to me, Dick Cheney was like the asshole who was like doing everything. But, you know, I'm not going to necessarily exonerate Bush and his part in like what happened. But what I'm saying is that like, I have forgiven him, even though, you know, I'm not in a place to forgive him. I think any of the soldiers who feel a certain type of way about Bush have absolutely the right to feel the way that they feel about him for getting us into a war that didn't need to happen. But I think as a human, I'm a little bit like, all right, Bush, you're human. And I can respect that. And I just think that that little moment between him and Michelle is cute and it's endearing, and it kind of made me go, okay, like, you're a person. I'm not saying I, you know, excuse every single thing you've done, but I'm saying you're a person, and like, okay, I'm gonna see you as a person. All right, you guys, so that's the end of this episode of Morning Tea. Please leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think about anything that I spoke about today. And yeah, thank you for folding laundry with me. I still have so much more to do, and I have been folding now clothes for what feels like an hour talking to you guys. All right, if you like what I do here on this channel and you'd like to consider becoming a Patreon patron, please click the link down below. And remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye.